Hi guys, welcome to the Knitting Expat Podcast. My name is Mina and I'll be your host today, like every other time. Thank you for coming to check me out if this is the first time you're joining us, and I hope you like what you see. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. So this week we have a regular sit down podcast. Last week I posted a vlog episode, so yeah, we are back at it. I have a lot to go over with you guys today, so we're going to jump right in. I have a few intro announcements and stuff to do, admin-y things. Hopefully that won't take too long, and then we'll move on to the meat of the episode, I guess. So today is Friday the 8th of September. I wrote the date down wrong on my notes. I was trying to do my show notes earlier and Layla kept hitting at the keyboard, so it was a challenge. Sorry about the sirens, if you can hear those. I live in New York City and it's just a fact of life over here. So anyway, Layla's currently having a nap. Layla's my 6-month-old baby, if you are new. So she's having a nap and I'm going to try and record this. And the sirens can go off if they want to, I'm just going to keep going. So just letting you know right now, I don't have time to stop and start and wait for sirens. So yes, the places you can find me online, you can find me on Instagram as Knitting Expat, on Ravelry as Mina Phillip. Show notes are at knittingexpat.wordpress.com. The podcast group on Ravelry is Knitting Expat Podcast, and I have episode threads in there. They don't have full show notes, but there is a link to the show notes in that thread, as well as everything is linked below this video on YouTube, and everything's also linked on the show notes, obviously. So 3 different places where you can find everything, or at least links to everything, or places where you can find me. I also have a Ravelry shop where I sell patterns that I designed, so you can also check that out. And yeah, if you don't follow me on Instagram, I highly recommend that you do, because we have a bunch of like giveaways and coupon codes and stuff coming up over the next couple of weeks. So, and that will most likely be where I announce them, only because there's going to be something new every couple of days, and I'm not really going to be recording and publishing every couple of days. So YouTube, you're not really going to see it here, and just for practicality reasons, I'm not necessarily always going to be able to update the Ravelry group either with all this information. So Instagram, I'm afraid, I'm sorry for those of you who don't have Instagram necessarily, but Instagram is going to be, hi Hugo, the place where this stuff happens, purely because it is just simpler for my life right now, and I have to go with simplicity, and otherwise it wouldn't happen. Anyway, I'll get to that in a second. This is Hugo, one of my cats. My other cat Derek is sleeping in a box just down there. Yeah, I also, whilst I didn't vlog this week, I did take a few snips of video here and there, so I'll have already included that at the beginning, so I hope you enjoyed it. So yes, like I was saying about the codes and stuff, so in about 16 days, just a little over 2 weeks, it's gonna be my birthday. I'll be 31 this year, and yeah, so I wanted to celebrate. I've also hit over 14,000 subscribers on Instagram and 16,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is just mind-boggling. The whole thing, I can't even imagine what that number of people looks like. So I'm gonna do a host of, like I said, coupon codes for like money off patterns in my shop, giveaways. I have some yarny giveaways and some other prize giveaways to announce and host over the next couple of weeks. So every couple of days there should be something new popping up on Instagram, and every 2 to 3 days. I'm not exactly sure, I haven't fully figured out the schedule yet. I just know this is something I wanted to do, and I have a few ideas of what I'll be doing, and so yeah, I hope you will enjoy that and come take part. Then what else was I gonna say? So yeah, so that will start from tomorrow. I think the first thing I will do will go up tomorrow, and then every couple of days after that. Only because, and if you're new, if you've been watching previously, you'll know this, but if you're new, you might not. My parents are actually flying out to the US today. Probably right now they're on a plane, but they're going to LA first, and then Perry and I and Layla are gonna go meet them in Vegas next week. So from Wednesday to Friday, we're gonna be in Vegas. And then they're going up to Boston for a couple of days before coming back to stay with us in New York from the end of next weekend. So, and then they're staying with us until the end of the following weekend. So basically until my birthday, which is on the 24th, when they head back that evening. So we're gonna have quite a busy couple of weeks, and so yeah, which is why these codes and everything are going to go up on Instagram only, because we're going to be out and about a lot. I'm not necessarily going to be on my computer every day, or have easy access to other formats to be able to publish and give all the information out. So please, please, please do follow me on Instagram if you want to take part in these offers, I guess. What else was I going to say? Yeah, so for the next couple of weeks I will probably only be doing vlogs as well, just because I just explained, so hopefully that's self-explanatory, and which most people seem to like, so we'll go with it. And I'm not sure how much I'll end up vlogging over the next couple of weeks, because I do find it really awkward to do it when I'm around other people, and so we will see how it goes. It might not be a very chatty vlog, but anyway. In other news, the Road to Rhinebeck Mystery Knit-along has started. That started last week on Saturday. I didn't do a great job of publicizing it and really getting the word out there that much for this one, but just because things were a bit crazy. But clue 1 is already out, and I may have made a slight error in judgment in how I structured the clues, because clue 1 turned out to be a lot shorter than I think I'd mentally thought it would be. And I mean, I've knit the pattern, I already know what it looks like, but for some reason in my head I thought clue 1 was going to be longer than it was. So a lot of people were concerned about how big the shawl was going to be. Don't worry, it will get much bigger quickly. The first clue was actually really short and really quick. Most people managed to get that done in a couple of hours. So if you haven't started yet and you haven't joined in and you want to, then there is still plenty of time. The next clue will be going out on Saturday, so tomorrow, Saturday the 9th. And then they come out every week on a Saturday, and I believe the last one comes out on the 23rd, Saturday 23rd. So yeah, and then the knit-along doesn't end until the 22nd of October, which is the last day of Rhinebeck. So that gives everyone plenty of time after the last clue comes out to finish, because as the clues go on, they will take longer and longer to complete as you have more and more stitches on the needles. So yeah, whilst the first clue was really quick, they are going to start taking a little bit longer each time. Just putting that out there and letting you know. And yeah, so I wanted it also then, as a result, I wanted everyone to have plenty of time to be able to finish their shawls if they're going to Rhinebeck or not going to Rhinebeck, and you know, so you have plenty of time to finish within the time frame for the club. So I'm still pulling together prizes for this package, for this knit-along. I have 1 or 2 prizes in mind already, and I'm hoping to figure out a couple of other bits for it. So if you are a maker or something and you would like to donate a prize specifically for this knit-along or any other knit-alongs that I run, by all means get in touch. We can arrange that, whether you want to send it to me and I send it out, or if you want to send it directly to the winner. Either way suits me fine. Just let me know, we can discuss. And Hugo's just making himself comfortable on my pile of finished objects right here, so this will be interesting. And we do also have a coupons code thread in the group, so make sure you go and check that out. Sorry, I just got distracted by Hugo. Make sure you go and check that out if you want to know what the current coupons are. Coupon codes are from different makers. That's just a thread in the group where you're more than welcome, if you're a maker, to go ahead and like basically promote yourself. And because I don't have a lot of time always to sit here and like read out all the coupon codes every week or every time I record. And then the New York Sock Club is coming to a close. The last pattern was released. I don't have it with me, but I did show it in the vlog. It is the Q train, which is the name of the subway line that runs past our house. It's the subway line we take everywhere we go. It's quick, it's easy, it's actually an express subway, so it doesn't stop at all the stops, but all the stops it does stop at has elevator access, and so it's great for me with the stroller with Layla, being able to get around town really easily. And they're all like major stations, so from each of those stations I can walk to pretty much wherever it is that we need to go to. So it's a really convenient way for us to get around town, and yeah, it's quick, it's easy, which is exactly what the pattern is. The pattern is quick, it's easy, it basically knits itself. It's perfect for like on-the-go knitting. It's just a 2-row repeat, very easily memorizable, and just great on-the-go knitting, like I said. So I hope those of you who are knitting it are enjoying it. So many people have already finished, or like at least finished the first sock. So it's really exciting to see those popping up on Instagram and in the group. Sorry, I realized this top probably wasn't the best choice because it's kind of making my eyes go a little bit weird on the screen. So I hope it's not going to be too bad in the actual video. So we also have a bunch of patterns to give away. I announced that last time I did a sit down episode, and I'm not going to go through and do that now just because it will take too long, but I'm going to post a separate video, prize winners video, for the pattern giveaway prizes, and also I have prize winners to announce for the New York Sock Club end of August, which I still need to draw for. So I need to draw those prizes and announce those winners as well. So I'm just going to do a separate video for all of those, just to keep the podcast down to a decent length, and to I find people tend to get in touch with me a lot quicker if it's a separate video about the prizes than if it is within the podcast, which is understandable. Okay, so I think we are now ready to move on to finished objects. Hugo, you're gonna have to cooperate a little bit. So I'm going to actually run it through the finished objects that I had when I vlogged last week, because I know maybe not everyone watches the vlogs, so I'm just going to run through the finished objects really quickly so you guys know what I did, and I will hopefully be able to get these out from under Hugo. So one thing I finished were these vanilla socks that I was knitting as a gift. I'm not sure who these are going to go to, but they are a men's size, so, and by that I mean they will fit pretty much all the men in my family, either my dad, my brother, Perry, or Perry's dad. I've knit them such that it would fit all of them. I mean, for my brother, they might be a little bit on the looser side, but I think actually these will probably either go to my dad or Perry's dad. I think Perry wouldn't wear striping like this. Like it's too busy for him. I did ask, he wasn't interested. But the yarn is, where is it? It's an Elise sock yarn. There wasn't really a specific colorway name or anything, but this was sent to me by a lovely viewer of the podcast, and I actually really like how that knit up. It was really fun. And 2.25 millimeters using my own vanilla sock recipe. I did the heel in garter stitch, and I did the mini heel flap adjustment as well. Then the second finished object, which you guys didn't see this as a work in progress on the podcast, but you did see it in the vlog, was the mix and match child sweater. So this is the 1 to 2 year size, and I've tried it on Layla, and it fits perfectly. The great thing about this is it fits her great now, and it doesn't look like it's too baggy. But when you hold it around the sides and you can feel it, and then you'll see there's actually a good amount of ease on the sides and on the sleeves, but not so much that it looks like it's gonna fall, you know, that she's drowning in it, but enough to know that it's gonna fit her well into next year and next winter as well. So at the moment, and I did the high neck and the dipped hem at the back, and at the moment when she's wearing this basically covers halfway down her bum, which is like a good length for now, and then as she gets a bit older it'll still be long enough at the back to cover her back. And yeah, I really like how this has turned out. The yarn is by the lovely Amber from Maker's Haven, and this is a special colorway she dyed for Layla, called Layla, and it's on her DK Merino base, and it's a superwash, I believe. And yeah, she actually is now dyeing this as a regular colorway. She had originally done it as a one of a kind, which is when I showed the yarn last time. It was a one of a kind, but she has since reverse engineered it, I guess, and come up with a it's very slightly different, but it is now a repeatable colorway, which is in her shop. She had a shop update last week, I believe, with some skeins in, and she's going to have more in the shop update once the pattern is ready for release. And the pattern should be ready for release sometime by my birthday, basically. I'm hoping that not next week, the week after, when my parents are here, that I can get to the park with Layla and you know, with their help, be able to take some pictures of her wearing this. At the moment it's a bit difficult for me to sort of pose her, to take a couple of steps back to take a picture without her just rolling over or like doing whatever, and so having another pair of hands to help out would be really good with that. And I'm hoping also the weather will have cooled off a bit so she doesn't get too hot wearing it. So yeah, so hopefully by the 24th of September this pattern will be out. It's still being test knit. My testers have a few more days with it, and I will hopefully get this out soon. And I have plans to make an adult size version of this pattern as well, but I'm not sure when that will come to fruition. It's just it's an idea that I want to work on at some point soon. And the last thing that I finished last time was on the vlog was the baby blanket for my nephew. It still feels weird to say that I'm gonna have a nephew, but I guess I am. And so this is the Garter Chevron blanket, is basically what I've called it. Enough people were interested in me writing up the pattern or posting a pattern for it, and I decided to just publish a free pattern. So there's a free pattern for this on Ravelry. It is not complicated at all. Again, it's just a 2-row repeat, and if you use markers, stitch markers, to mark the points of increase and decrease, then it becomes a very mindless knit, which is what I did because I was knitting on this whilst looking after Layla. So it was very, very quick and easy. I did 5 colours in the end, and I used Knit Picks Stroll Tweed from the Heather's range, held double, so it's fingering weight held double, and yeah, it worked out really nice. So I used 6mm needles, so I think it was a US 10, and what else was I going to say? Yeah, so I basically, whenever I knit pretty much 1 stripe a day is kind of roughly what I was going for, 1 stripe a day, which made this basically a 1-week project. The last stripe did take a couple of days just because we had a very busy weekend, but it really was just a 1-week project. So it's very, very quick off the needles, and you can of course adapt it, and there are notes in the pattern explaining what to do and where to change stitch counts if you want to change things to make this wider, narrower, bigger, smaller, whatever. And of course you can do it with any weight of yarn. You just want to adjust your needles accordingly. So the colours start at this end. So this is Garnet Heather. Ooh. Sorry, Layla just cried out. I've mentioned this before, sometimes when she's sleeping she cries out, but I'm just trying to see if this is just her crying out or waking up. I hope it's not the latter. She seems okay. So, Garnet Heather. It's the Firecracker Heather. This is Oyster Heather, this like creamy beige colour. And this is the Forest Heather, and Sequoia Heather is the last dark green. And I washed this in the washing machine because I figure my sister-in-law is not going to be hand washing a baby blanket, or at least not this one. It is super wash as well. It's a merino nylon tweed, and yeah, it grew a ton with washing. I don't know if you saw it before on the vlog. When it was finished, it was a lot smaller than this, but it's a good size, and I figure she will probably use it doubled up in the stroller, which is how I use the one that I've got for Layla that I knit her. I tend to have it doubled up, or maybe just a little bit less than double or something, to cover her legs in the stroller. And then this way she can choose between having, you know, maybe the red showing or the green showing, or both, however she wants to do it. But I thought that would be quite cute, and because she's having a Christmas baby, I thought it was cute to use Christmassy colours without it being too overly Christmassy, if that makes any sense. So that's pretty much what I finished last week, whilst the week I vlogged. And this week I finished a whole bunch more stuff. Although, actually looking at everything I worked on this week, it was a very scrappy week. I basically worked on entirely scrappy projects, which was a lot of fun actually. It was really nice to work on some scrappy projects, and I finished a few things, which is really exciting. I started, if Hugo will give them up, he'll just pause on these, with a pair of baby socks for Layla. So this is some leftover scraps of some Wool and Vine yarns on her Volca base, which is her MCN, in Not a Creature Was Stirring. And I knit the Avenues pattern out of this for the New York Suckler. And so I did a knit pearl texture. I didn't want to do the Avenues pattern just because that really does like affect the fabric. And for baby socks, I didn't want to mess around with the fabric tension and stuff like that. So I just went with a simple knit pearl texture, which is kind of inspired by the Avenues pattern, I guess. I did a little garter heel, and if you're interested in the formula for this, I did post a sort of a pattern recipe on my Instagram. It's a picture of this pair of socks, sort of just like this, with the recipe underneath it. So if you're interested, you can go check that out. I'm also thinking about maybe just publishing a basic baby sock pattern with a few different sizes, and some guidelines on how to adjust your stitch counts for your child based on their foot measurements and stuff like that. So yeah, let me know, I might do that. in the next few weeks when I have some time. It's suddenly got really, really dark. I hope that's not, I hope it's okay. Anyway, so I did that pair, and they're so quick. They are so quick to do. So I pulled out a bunch more scraps, and then I knit her a pair of rainbow socks, because of course she needs rainbow socks with sunshiny yellow heels for this one. This is some leftover from yarn that was it's by Artistic Yarns by Abby on Etsy, and this is her Rainbows and Clouds colorway. Yeah, and I've got a pair of socks I knit for myself out of this yarn. It's just plain vanilla for myself, which I knit after Layla was born. And this is a pair that I knit for Layla, and I actually did the Q-train pattern on this one. Oh, I can get that to focus. There we go. So I actually did the Q-train pattern on this from the New York Sock Club. And then I knit another pair for her. I've knit quite a few pairs now. And this is the third pair that I knit. This is out of some Malabrigo sock in the Arco Iris colorway. This is leftover from when I knit a version of the Across the Pond shawl, which is another one of my shawl patterns. And this is in the Cobblestones pattern, which is from the Beyond Vanilla Part 1 collection of sock patterns that I did. All of these I've done with a garter heel just because it's easy, and also actually it makes counting the rows before and after the heel really easy to do as well. So that was really fun, and these knit up so quickly. Each sock takes less than 2 hours. Like, I think I actually measured this pair for one sock, so it took me like 1 hour and 40 minutes to knit one sock. So so yeah, really quick, not a problem at all. So, and this is very special yarn, this one for me anyway. So this is the 4th pair of socks that I've knit, and this one actually turned out a little bit bigger than the other pairs because it's actually a sport weight, and I knit it using the same numbers as everything else. So this has turned out a little bit bigger, which is fine, she'll grow into it. And this is in the Yorkville pattern, also from the New York Sock Club. So you can see that patterning there. And the reason why this yarn is special, this is Handmaiden Casbah. It's an MCN again, but a sport weight in the vintage colorway. And this is special because this was the yarn I was knitting on at the hospital after Layla was born. So I was working on a sockhead hat, or just a very simple hat. And yeah, this is the project I worked on after she was born whilst we were still at the hospital. It was the first project I finished after we got home from the hospital with her. So yeah, these are very special socks. And you may be wondering what I'm going to do with all these baby socks after she's outgrown them. And actually I was thinking about it, and I was like, this is essentially a dual purpose project. I'm planning on knitting her 12 pairs of socks. So essentially I'm doing a baby box of socks for Layla for Christmas. And then what I'm going to do once she's outgrown them, the 12 pairs of socks are going to become her baby advent calendar. So she's going to have her own baby socks, which will eventually become her advent calendar. You know, there's all those people who talk about wanting to knit little sock advent calendar where they knit 24 socks to hang on a line, or 24 mittens, or whatever it is, to make an advent calendar. Well, I figure dual purpose, knit her 12 pairs of socks, and then you have 24 socks to use as an advent calendar. And this way, also, you know, if we end up having another baby at some point, I still have baby socks to use for baby number 2. We don't have plans for another baby anytime soon, I'm just saying. So they're mostly, you know, gender neutral. I probably won't be doing lacy socks for Layla just because I don't see much point in doing lacy socks for a baby. But yeah, I really like that, and I like the fact that they will still be useful for something after she's outgrown them, that it's not just something she'll wear for 2 or 3 months and then not be able to wear anymore and not be able to do anything with the finished socks. So yeah, I really like the idea of using them as an advent calendar. And what I'll probably do is, once we do start to use it as an advent calendar, is I'll probably just hand stitch or embroider on the numbers onto the side of the sock, so they're all numbered as well. So yeah, that's the idea behind that. And all of these were knit with 2.25mm needles as well. So yeah, I'm really happy with how these are turning out. And actually, since I decided to do them as an advent calendar later on, I've actually been even more excited to work on them as well. and I have a bunch of yarn picked out for more socks for her as well. So I don't have anything cast on in here, it's just a bit of yarn. So I'll show you those as well once they're done. Then what next? I think that's the only thing I've actually finished, I think. Let me just double check I've got everything on here. Yeah, that's everything. The last thing I have to show you that I finished is my Pinwheel scrap blanket. It's done, it's finished. I can't believe it. I'm so excited by this. I'm so excited. All the ends are woven in, everything is woven in. Yeah, I just had a moment where I thought something was coming loose, but it wasn't. Everything is woven in, all the seams are woven in. I mean, the ends from the seams are all woven in. I'm just so excited, so excited to have this done. I had set a personal goal to have this done by my birthday, so I'm really glad to have gotten it finished well before that deadline. I talked on Instagram, I shared a picture of this, or it in progress, I guess, when I was coming up to working on my last block, saying that I was thinking about doing a crocheted edge around it, and I'm still thinking of doing that, but I'm gonna hold off from doing it just yet, because I laid this out the other day against my Cozy Memories blanket, the mitered square one that I did, and I finished that last summer, and that's now become a bit of a tummy time play around on the floor blanket for Layla. It's I'm not sure if you can see, but it's on the floor right there behind me. You might be able to see the corner of it, and we've kind of lost that now. It used to be our blanket for the sofa, so for now it's just Layla's playtime blanket. She loves it. She loves rolling around on it and like grabbing at the different squares and like feeling the different textures and stuff. It's quite fun for her. And if she ever gets to the edge of the blanket, she picks it up and like tries to stuff it in her mouth. So she's enjoying exploring that. And I quite like this size. This size is about one full square, so this amount, shorter height-wise than the blanket, and half a square, so like this much, narrower width-wise. So it's slightly smaller than the blanket that we have on the floor right now. And the one that we had on the floor was a sort of perfect length for like sleeping under, having a nap for me and Perry, because we're quite tall. So, but I really like the finished size of this. These blankets are never going to be like blankets that we put on the bed. They're always going to be sofa blankets. So I feel like for the sofa, snuggling under, this is probably enough for now. And I took actually Layla to the park earlier this morning to take some photos of it and some video, and I laid it out and I looked and I was like, actually this is a really good sort of decent picnic size blanket as well. So so for now I'm going to leave it as it is, but I'm not going to finish the edges yet because I'm going to wait a couple of months and just see how it goes with using it and stuff, and I might decide to add a couple more rows to it, or just one more row or something to make it a little bit bigger if I feel like we need it. I don't think we will, but I kind of don't want to finish it off completely and later regret and have to rip out and stuff like that. So I'm going to hold off for a couple more months. I'm calling it finished because it is. I'm pretty sure it's going to stay this size, but we're going to use it for a little bit and just see how it goes and decide whether or not I feel like it needs to be a bit bigger or not. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. So let me try and find the most recent squares that I finished that you guys may have not seen yet. So these two blocks I think were the last two blocks I think they were the last two blocks. No, they weren't. So these two blocks I finished recently. This one and this one. And this is the last block I knit. This one. And I think there was another block as well which I finished recently. This one. This one's a really special block here. This is all the yarn from the New York Sock Club this year, which is really fun to have that all in one block as well. There are so many memories in this blanket. This one is also a really special block. This is that yarn from the pair of socks I knit for Layla, the Handmade in Casper. This is that yarn, the artistic yarn by Abby, that rainbow one, which again I knit a pair of socks for myself and for Layla. So I was saying, this is the yarn that I knit socks for myself out after we got out of the hospital. This I knit Perry pair of socks. Again, I think it was the first pair of socks I knit him after we got out of hospital. I knit him a pair of cobblestone socks, I think, or pebble socks, I can't remember which now. These two were contrast colours for the contrast heels and toes from the Times Square socks from the New York Sock Club. This one was the pair of socks I was working on for my dad whilst I was in labour at the hospital, and I finished these at the hospital as well. So that was also really special yarn. This is a No Makers Gnomeson Dove, I think is the colourway. It's on the scruffy gnome base, it's tweed base. So many good memories in this blanket. This block is all yarns from my sockathon that I did last year with the lovely Marsha. This has more design yarn, or yarns I use for design projects in it. Yeah, there's just so many memories in this blanket, which is great. And actually some of there's quite a few blocks in here which are from yarns from friends, which I think most of these blocks are yarns from friends over here. There's all like a 9-block group there. But these are yarns from the Beyond Vanilla collection, part 1 and part 2. I think, no, this is all part 1, which is really fun. What else have we got in here? I knit a Pure Joy with these 2 yarns. It's just great being able to look at this blanket and just see all the different things that I've made with them, made with all the yarns in here. There's more yarn from the Sockathon here, and this one, these 2 blocks. These were mostly yarns from Beyond Vanilla Part 2 in this block. What else? More no. This block is also really special. There's yarn in here. This was, I knit a newborn vertebrae for Layla, which we brought her home wearing. Last pair of socks I knit when we lived in Bahrain. Christmas socks from last year. So many different things. Anyway, absolutely love it. So happy it's finished. And yeah, the Pinwheel scrap blanket is a pattern I designed and released last summer. I was inspired by a different pinwheel sort of pattern for a pillow, which I converted to a pillow, and then I realized I changed so many things about how the pattern was written. So and it was a free pattern, the one that I had originally used, but I changed so many things. The only thing that really stayed the same was the stitch count. So I ended up, like I said, making so many modifications to it. So I rewrote it up for a blanket pattern and for a fingering weight as a scrap blanket pattern, which I thought was really, really fun, and I really, really enjoyed doing it. And I hope those of you who have started one are also enjoying it, working on it. And if you haven't started one and you want a blanket project that is a bit different than the Cozy Memories Mitre Square one, then this is a great option. This is also an incredibly portable blanket to work on, because you work on blocks and then the blocks are seamed together. I should probably show you the seam side so you can see how that looks. I chose a neutral grey. I'd used this Drops Farble, very, very inexpensive sock yarn. I think it's something like £2 or £3 for a 50-gram ball, which is less than $5. So very inexpensive. And it's colour number 200. It's just a medium-ish grey. And I used this for all of the seaming. And I actually had 2 balls, so this is the second ball that I cut into. I don't think the first ball was a full ball either. I'm pretty sure I used some of that for something else. So this is the back side. Actually, if I can get it close so you can see the seams properly. And so there. And the other good reason for using sort of like a neutral grey colour, I find, is that it does just sort of blend in. You don't even really notice it, even on the wrong side. It's not jumping out. And even in the part where the grey is against quite a light colour, it doesn't look very, it's very neat. I like it. I like how it looks on the wrong side, just as much as I like how it looks on the right side. So I crocheted it together, and I have a video on my channel under the tutorial section for how to seam these together with the crochet, and it's also linked in the pattern as well to that video. And then on the right side, if I show you up close, you can see the seam a little bit from the right side, but there again, I don't think it looks bad. Can you see that? That's the seam from the right side. I mean, I don't really think it looks bad at all. Like, it's not ridiculously obvious at all. Like, here it is against some light coloured yarn. And it's really not that bad. It really doesn't show up which is why I suggest using a neutral grey. So that's that. I think that's enough chatter about this project. I had thought about blocking it, but I think it's a little bit silly because each block, as I knit them, was blocked separately before I seamed it together. So I really don't feel like it needs to be blocked again because they've all been blocked once. Which I do suggest that you do. Either block the squares once you finish each one, or once you've seamed a row together, then block them like that. It's so much easier than trying to block a whole blanket, especially because this blanket, a lot of the yarns, there's probably just as many, or a very good portion of them, are non-superwash, so it's not like I can just throw that into the washing machine either. Okay, so that is it for finished objects. Moving on to works in progress. Like I said, everything I've been working on this week have been completely scrappy projects, from the socks for Layla, pinwheel scrap blanket. I finally started the mobile for my nephew. I've made all the pom-poms. I just need to sit down and trim them and then attach them to the embroidery hoop. So there's not much left to do for it. So got a nice little bundle of pom-poms. Those are different colours. So like I've mentioned before in a previous vlog that I got my sister-in-law's input on the colour choices, which I'm really glad that I did, because she did have very specific thoughts on what colours she wanted for the pom-poms. Well, she doesn't know what it is, but yeah. So first of all, the pom-pom makers I used were these two. These are the Clover pom-pom makers. I think this is like a medium and a large. I can't remember what size pom-poms they're supposed to make, but I use them all the time for making pom-poms. So I will tell you the yarns if I remember what each one is. So this one is a Knit Picks, which one was it? I think it's a Stroll Fingering. It was like a sunshiny yellow. I think it was called Poppy or something. I remember being confused by it, and someone explained that they have yellow poppies somewhere in the US. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. It was a nice little sunshiny yellow colour. Then these two are just some acrylic that I picked up at Michael's, the grey and the teal. I picked up the teal mostly to use it as the colour for all the strands, but then I thought I'd throw in the grey as well. And then this is just a nice bright teal that fit in with the colour scheme that my sister-in-law wanted. There's still tons of those skeins left. They're like little 50-gram skeins. This one I think is a DK, Louisa Harding DK yarn that I picked up in the UK last winter before Layla was born. And yeah, I think I used it as part of a colourwork vest for her for this winter. It's like, I think it was called the Peanut Vest by Tin Can Knits. It's leftovers from that. Then this is some leftover yarn from Lavender Loon back when she was doing natural dyeing, and I believe this was basil. I think this was dyed with basil. So this is fingering weight. Like I said, they still need a good trim and floofing. This sort of chartreusey green was some Fibre Company Cumbria. This is leftover from the Cozy Schlanket mystery knit along that we did in January, which is really fun. I can't remember the name of the colourway, but it's like this really lovely chartreusey green colour. And then I have this grey, which is John Arvin Textiles. I can't remember which number it is, but it's one of the greys that I used in my Starting Point mystery knit along. This one floofs up quite nicely. Then we have, I believe this is a, I want to say Malabrigo Machita. I can't remember the colourway name for this one. It's either Malabrigo or Madeline Tosh, I can't remember, but it's a leftover. This is a leftover from of Primrose Yarn Company on the Adelaide base. This is in the Don Draper colourway, which I really love this colour. It's a bit washed out, that's better. Hopefully it will focus. There we go. And finally is this golden sunshiny yellow, which was a custom dye by a lovely local yarn shop in London called I Knit London. And yeah, so that doesn't have a colorway name. So these are all the pom-poms. So like I said, I just need to sit down, trim them. The only reason I haven't done that yet is I need to kind of get the bin in front of me when I trim them, because otherwise I'm going to have fibers going everywhere, and I have to do it preferably in good lighting so I can see what they look like, and when Layla's not around. So I either have to do it on the weekend when Perry can watch her and I can do this, or during her lunch nap, which I can't do today because I'm recording right now, and thankfully she went back to sleep. So okay, so that's those. I'm hoping to get that finished over the weekend. There's really not a lot left to do with that, so that will hopefully be finished next week. It's not really technically knitting, but it's using yarn, so I figure it goes. Another project for my nephew is a little nugget sweater. So I knit this little nugget sweater for Layla. This is the very first version of it, and I'm now knitting one for my nephew. This is the 0 to 3 month size, and this one still fits Layla, which is amazing. And this is just knit out of some scraps that I striped, and I really like how it looks striped as well, so I'm doing his one in stripes as well. And I'm using the leftovers from the baby blanket I knit in with the Christmas colours. So I'm trying to see where I am. Okay, so this is the front. It's all curly at the moment because I haven't put the neckband on yet, but this isn't the same size. It's 0 to 3 months, so I'm kind of using this one as a guide to see where I should change the colours. I'm changing the colours roughly about every 20 rows of each colour, whereas on this one I think I did it every 18 rows, but the yarn for this one's a little bit more plump than this one, so it should be fine. And if it turns out a little bit bigger, then it doesn't matter. He's a baby and he will grow into it. So yeah, so that's really fun. I've done all the increases for the sleeves, and I've split for the sleeves as well. I'm just working straight down on the body now. So I've done the garnet heather, the firecracker heather, and I'm now into the oyster heather, and then I just have the last two to use, the forest heather and sequoia heather. And there's still plenty of yarn left over, and I still have the second skein of each, because for the blanket I had the yarn held double, so I had 2 skein, 2 50-gram balls of each colour. So I'm going to have plenty to knit him some socks and maybe a striped hat as well to go with it all. So it'll be a lovely little, hopefully lovely, a good little set of matching baby things for him. And there was also, I got like a sampler sample pack of these Christmas colorways, these Christmassy colors from Knit Picks, and there was also another color in there called Lost Lake Heather, which was another green. I just didn't think it was going to look very balanced in the blanket to have 3 greens, 2 reds and 1 cream. So I took out the Lost Lake Heather, and I'm planning on using that yarn held double to knit him a mix and match sweater as well to go with the whole set and everything. So it's gonna be a really lovely Christmassy set of clothes, hopefully for the baby, without being too Christmassy. And the last thing that I'm working on, I have 2 other works in progress. One is the granny stripe blanket, which really hasn't seen much progress. I had hoped to get to work on it this week. Once I realised how much of a scrappy week I'd been having, I thought, oh, that'd be fun to work on and be able to show as well, but didn't really do much on it. I haven't really worked on it in the last couple of weeks. But now that the Pinwheel scrap blanket is finished, that is the only scrappy blanket I have on the needles hook. I have on the go at the moment, so that will definitely be coming out more often, I think. I'm contemplating making another Pinwheel scrap blanket, so we will see what happens with that. I might take a bit of a break from it and then come back to it at some point. It was a really good sort of on the go project to have. And the other one is a pair of vanilla socks. I keep calling them vanilla socks. A pair of socks that I started to test out the Maker's Cuff, which was a pattern by Amber of Maker's Haven, which is just a cuff pattern for socks. And I've just knit the cuffs. I haven't knit the body yet I haven't knit the rest of the socks, and those haven't been touched since I last showed them to you, so not going to show you those now either. But since I finished the other pair of socks, those will be my next pair of on-the-go sock knitting, I guess. But before that, I actually started knitting all the baby socks, so that's why those haven't been touched. But if you remember the last time I podcasted, I showed you guys a bunch of yarn that the lovely people from Blacker Yarns had sent me, including a sample of their birthday colorway for this birthday yarn for this year, which is brushwork it's all yarns inspired by painting and painting techniques. And so they sent me a little sample ball, a half-size ball of the skeins that they have. So the skeins are they are 50 gram skeins, but they sent me a little 25 gram sample to play with, to swatch, to basically test and give a review. So I sat down one evening and I was going to start swatching, and I realized rather than just doing a swatch and talking about that and all that, and swatch, I don't know what to do with just a swatch. I have a few swatches just lying around, not sure what to do with them. Not enough to like make anything out of them, but I don't know. So I wanted something practical and useful out of it. So since I was on a baby sock knitting kick, I thought I'd see if I could get a pair of socks out of them for Layla. So here's one sock. I haven't cast on the second sock yet because I was working furiously on getting that blanket finished yesterday. So this is where I'm at the moment. So I've done a pair of pebble socks for Layla with this one, which is from Beyond Vanilla Part 1. You can see the little texture section on the front of the sock there. And it was so nice to knit with. Really lovely, proper woolly yarn without being scratchy, if you can imagine that. I want to say it's a woolen spun, so it's a little bit more lofty and fluffy and airy and light, but still being really warm and sturdy. It's a mixture of, I believe it's, I can't remember now, I don't have the information in front of me, but it's a mixture of wool and alpaca, and they have, jeez, I'm kicking myself, I can't remember what the makeup of the wool component is, but it's some rare breeds as well, British breeds, which is really fun. And I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough actually for a full pair of socks out of the yarn, because it's quite plump and it's a sport weight. So I actually went down in my stitch count quite significantly, and I went up in my needles to 2.5mm needles. I'm just using Chagos. So a bit of an adjustment, and these have still turned out slightly bigger than the other ones. Again, not a problem. I haven't blocked to wash this yet, so it will soften up as well. And the white contrasting heel is just a similarly spun rustic natural wool. I think this is from Sweden. I think a while ago when I first started podcasting, I did a swap with Maria from Stitched in Sweden, and I think this is one of the little like samples of yarn that she sent me, and I had it lying around, so I grabbed it because it looked like it would go quite nicely with the heatheriness of the brushwork. You know, just to do the heel, because I thought I might only be like 1 or 2 grams short, so I thought, you know what, I'll just do the heel, and it looks like I'm going to have enough, so that should be fun. And at least then, you know, I can do a proper review of how the yarn feels after it's been washed. And I mean, it was great to knit with. It was beautiful, really squishy, and they'll definitely be nice and warm for her as well, so for Layla. So yeah, really like how it's turned out, and I will obviously talk more about it once it's all finished. And again, really didn't take long to knit at all, because it was a thicker yarn on bigger needles and fewer stitches. I think this one was like an hour and a half to knit that sock, and that was on and off with looking after Layla at the same time. Okay, that's quite a bit of talking. So I'm going to take a quick break here, grab a sip of drink or something, and I'll be back in just 1 second with acquisitions. They're all sat right here, completely waiting. So I have a few things to show you guys that came in the mail this week, which is really, really exciting. First up, I showed this on the vlog actually, because it arrived last week whilst I was vlogging, but I just wanted to show you again on the podcast, just in case you missed it, because it's so beautiful. It's amazing. I absolutely love this. So this is some amazingly gorgeous yarn from Lavender Loon Yarn Company. This is in her Throat Punch colorway. I'll just hold up one skein so you guys can really see. It's a really, really fun, variegated colorway. So loads of different layers of color in that, and I can imagine how complicated this must be to dye with all the different layers on that. And so she sent me 4 skeins on her worsted weight base, which is 100% superwash merino, 218 yards in 100 grams. And this is for a future pattern. This is going to be for a a child pattern. It will have hopefully baby sizes up to sort of larger child sizes, kind of like the range the mix and match sweater is going to be. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure when this is going to get cast on. I still need to sit down and work out some of the maths for it. I'm hoping once I've had time to do that and sort of like basically draft out an outline, which is how I like to do things, is I like to, especially for garment patterns these days that I'm working on, so I like to have a rough idea of how it's going to go and just draft it out, and then be able to print off that copy so I could scratch notes around it, like make notes around it where I made changes, what I want to change about something, and then I can keep track of it as I'm going along. And then it becomes much easier to edit the draft version than it would be to sort of write it all out by hand, knit it up, and then sit down and have to type it all up from scratch. I just find that takes me longer to do. So if I have even just a very rough outline figured out before I start, then it just makes the whole process a lot smoother. That's just how I work. And I love the mailer that she sent it in. It's really fun summery pineapples. Then I also got a prize package through. This is going to be a prize for the podcast for the future for next year, from the lovely Brooke at Fully Spun. She sent me some yarn a while ago to review and use, and I knit a little baby hat out of some of her yarn for Layla, which you guys might have seen a few weeks ago. And so she sent me another skein to use as a giveaway. This is really, really fun. So what Brooke does with Fully Spun, what they do is, this is a 2-ply BFL fingering weight, 350 yards in 3.5 ounces, and it's the Voices in My Head colorway. What they do is they dye the fiber beforehand, they spin the singles, and then the way they ply the yarn together, they ply it in such a way that it gives this bubble polling effect, or some of their yarns aren't as bubble polled as this one, but essentially the aim is to provide a hand spun looking effect from commercially produced yarn for those who aren't necessarily spinners but enjoy the look and feel and, you know, the texture that is provided by hand spun. So I just think it's a really, really fun and interesting concept. I don't know of any other yarn company that does this, so that's interesting. It's something a little bit different, like I said. So I'll have her shop linked, hopefully, if I remember, in the show notes. If not, you can literally just type the name of this shop in Google and it will come up, Fully Spun. It should be linked. And then I was also contacted by another yarn dyer, which is not one I'd heard of before. I'm not sure if she's new to dyeing or not, I can't actually remember. But it's a lovely Ash from Vessel Yarn Company, and she sent me 2 skeins of yarn to play with. I might use one for a giveaway, I'm not sure. They are really, really lovely, and I actually think they look really great together. And they're both on her 75-25 superwash wool nylon base. She doesn't have a base name for it. And she also attached a couple of progress keepers to them as well. So these are the yarns. They are so beautiful, and they're like, I'd say like a heavily tonal, version on being variegated. Like, it's very much a semi-solid tonal color, both of them. So this top one here is her unicorn colorway. Really beautiful purples, deep purples and blues. Oh, this is really beautiful. I'd say this is a much more darker version of the Layla colorway. Much more, very similar colors, just less. I guess the tones are a lot closer together. Is that the right word? I'm not sure, but yeah, really beautiful. And her yarn smells amazing. It smells like clean laundry. I don't know what you wash it in, but it smells amazing. And this one has a little paper plane progress keeper, which is really cute. I've never seen these before. She also sells these in her shop as well. And this one, the green one, is called Seaweed. Again, I think that's like the perfect name for this yarn. It's beautiful greens and blues. And it's actually the same, I think it's the same. We're very similar colour blue in both skeins. Don't know if you can see, like right here, a little bit in there. It's a bit hard to tell on camera. But very similar colour blues, which makes me think that these would actually work quite nicely together in a 2-colour project. I'm not sure what they're going to be yet. They are the perfect sort of sock yarns. They have that sort of quite because it's a 75% wool rather than merino, it's got that slightly more rustic feeling. I say rustic, they're not scratchy. It's more like a Regia or Opal kind of feel, which makes me feel like these would be really good for socks. But yeah, so not sure what these are going to be yet. And this one came with a 4-leaf clover provost keeper on it, which I thought was really cute to go with the green. So we will see. I might keep one and use one as a giveaway, or we will see. I haven't fully decided yet what that will be for. So that was those. I was also sent this month's knit crate, so I will, I've got that here, but I will do a separate video for that like I do every month. So I'm not going to show you the stuff in that one today. But I was also contacted again by the lovely people from We Are Knitters. If you remember, I knit the Cusco sweater, which is a kit that they sell on their website. We Are Knitters is a really fun sort of yarn company. Essentially, they produce their own yarns, and they also put together kits with patterns for you know, you get everything you need in this kit to create whatever it is the pattern is for, whatever it is the kit is for. I mean, whether it's a garment or an accessory or like a home accessory or something, they have all sorts of different options. Anyway, they recently came out with a new collection of patterns, which I believe was called the, I'm just trying to find the actual name of it because I don't want to make a mistake with the name. Les Girls, color, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Les Girls. That's probably not how you pronounce it. I think it's supposed to be like with a French accent or something. But they've come out with this new collection with some really beautiful, interesting designs. And they asked if I was interested in trying out one of the kits again and knitting up one of the designs, and also hosting a bit of a giveaway for you guys again. And I said absolutely. I really enjoyed knitting the Cusco sweater, so I took it up a notch this time, and I went for something a little bit more challenging. So this is the packaging. I actually got two. I got a second package because I wanted to knit the larger size, which comes with a couple of, so this second bag just has a few extra skeins of yarn in it for the larger size. So this is the packaging. I really love their packaging. It's really like simplistic. And then on the other side we have the details of what the pattern is. So I picked the Matterhorn vest, which if I show it to you up close, and hopefully you might be able to see the details on it. So it's a cabled vest, which looks like it'd be really fun and really cozy for the autumn winter season, which will be great with Layla around as well, going out and about, just like something warm to throw on without it taking up like too much space. So I actually got this in the forest green colorway. So it comes with the pattern, the tag to sew on afterwards, a sewing needle or a tapestry thread, and the needles in the one that I got. I'll show you the yarn. The yarn is the petite wool, which is I believe it's actually a bulky yarn, or a worsted. I'd say it's a bulky. So the petite wool is, the gauge is the suggested needle size is 8mm, so I'm pretty sure that's a bulky weight yarn. And it's this lovely deep rich forest green colorway, which is lovely, and I'm really excited to see how this knits up in the cables, because it looks like a cable pattern. I'm not sure if it's like true cables. I think it's more like twisted stitches, so it will be really fun and simple to knit, I hope. It's classed as being an advanced level pattern, so I'm not too worried about that. It doesn't seem too scary to me to do that, but I'm not entirely sure yet when this will get cast on, but hopefully it will get cast on soon, and I will be able to show you guys my progress with it as I go along. So we have a couple of different things going on with We Are Knitters with this. So we have, there's a coupon code for you guys, and I'll pop it up on the screen here, but it's all capital letters, WAK _ Knitting Expat 20, and that gives you 20% off the entire website, the 20% off the entire We Are Knitters store on their website until the end of August, so until the 31st of August. So make sure you go and check that out. Plus, they've also given me two $50 gift cards to give away to you guys as part of a giveaway that I'll be doing. So I think one giveaway I'll be doing as part of the run up to my birthday, and then the other one I will do, I will host it in October. So we'll have $150 gift card giveaway each month over the next 2 months, over this month and next month, which is also how long the coupon code runs for. And I'm hoping to at least have this cast on sometime in the next couple of weeks, so it'll be really fun to share progress with you guys, share the progress with you guys. So I hope you're excited about that. I will have a, this is actually the giveaway, this is the one giveaway around my birthday giveaways that will be on Ravelry. So I will have a thread on Ravelry for that, but I will announce it on Instagram once the giveaway thread and everything has gone live. So make sure you check both for this one. But I'm not entirely sure when this is going to go up, probably early next week. This will be one of the things that goes up, because I'm going to have the price thread on Ravelry open until my birthday for this one, and then I'll announce the winner for the first gift card after my birthday. I hope that makes sense. The prompt, I can tell you now if you want to know, the prompt for the giveaway is going to be pop on over to the We Are Knitters website and tell me which of the patterns from this new collection you would most want to knit and why, or something like that. So I will have a link to all of that stuff in the thread for you guys, and yeah, so hopefully that thread will go up either over this weekend or early next week. We've also had a couple of patterns donated to the podcast over the last couple of weeks, so thank you so much to the designers who have sent me patterns. One is from the lovely Jacqueline of Brooklyn Knit Folk. It's her first ever pattern, the Clark socks. So congratulations, Jacqueline, that's amazing. So happy for you. I know Jacqueline and I talked a bit about this when she was still working on them, so I'm really happy that you got them out and that everything worked out, and the photos are beautiful and the socks themselves are beautiful as well. And the second, so it's the Clark socks by Jacqueline Salem. I'm not sure if I actually said that. And then the second pattern is the Asphodel Potion Hat by Barbara, who is Knitting I Love. She has the Knitting I Love podcast and shop. So congratulations, Barbara, on the new hat pattern. It is, again, really beautiful. It is a very simple looking hat from the front when you first look at it. It's got like a nice rib and a sort of plain stockinette body, but then the decreases in the crown is where all the action happens, and it's a really beautiful pattern, so I highly suggest you check it out. I will be using these patterns as giveaways in upcoming knit-alongs and stuff as well. So so yeah, thank you so much everyone for all those donations to the podcast, and for yeah, basically just thank you so much to everybody. We have a few knit-alongs going on right now. We have the Knitting Expat Designs year-long cal. So basically knit any of my designs and you can enter into the knit-along. Also, so if you are taking part in the New York Sock Club, feel free to double dip into both cals. No need to just do one. And speaking of which, we have the New York Sock Club going on right now, which is like I said, the last pattern was released this month. There will be, it will be running until, the knit-along will be running until the end of November, at which point the threads will close. I will do, so after the end of September, I will do I'll do a draw from the monthly thread. And then I won't do another draw from that thread until the very end, when the knit-along ends at the end of November. Then I'll do one more set of draws from the monthly thread. And then at the end of November as well, I will close the grand prize FO thread, and then I will draw from everyone who has actually completed every pair of socks and have submitted the photos for that in that thread. I will pull from those for the prizes for that, and I did show the prizes a while ago, but I will show them again next time I record as well, hopefully, if I remember. And then finally, the newest knit-along that started is the Rhinebeck mystery knit-along, which again, thank you so much to everyone who's taken part so far. It's been great to see all the chatter in the group. I try to pop in. I read all the comments and I read everything in the chatter thread. I just don't always have time necessarily to comment back and reply to everybody. So I do try to reply and comment if people are asking specific questions or need help with something. I do try and get back to those as soon as I can, but a lot of the time someone else has already answered them, so I really appreciate the community around this knit-along and people helping each other out. Yeah, it's just great to know that even if I can't necessarily check in every 20 minutes on that thread, or every day even necessarily, I do try to at least check in once a day. But if I can't check in more than that, then I feel reassured knowing that other people are there to help others who might be struggling, and that's great. It's part of why I really enjoy this community that we're in. And finally, week in review. So Layla's now 28 weeks old. She's 6.5 months. Time is just flying by. She's rolling, she's trying to crawl. She's nowhere near crawling, but she's trying very hard sometimes. Things have been a little bit up and down with her lately. I hope this is just, you know, growing pains or something like that, but whatever it is, I just want my happy smiley baby back. Having said that, today was a much better day. Today was a much better day. This week has been a little bit tough. It's a little bit demoralizing some days. I've realized my mood is very much correlated to how well she's eating. If she has a day when she's eaten really well and it's not been too difficult and everything's gone fine, then I'm generally pretty happy. But on days when things are really difficult, she's not really wanting to eat much, or she's just been really fussy or something, I find that my mood is really kind of affected by that as well. So it's interesting. Not much else about, you know, her behavior sort of affects my mood that dramatically, but her feeding seems to really affect my mood a lot. It's probably because I had a lot of issues with feeding her in the early days when she was a newborn. So I guess I have a lot of I don't want to say anxiety. Anxiety is not the right word, but I have a lot of emotion associated with that aspect of things with her. So that probably has something to do with it. So anyway, like I said earlier, my parents are on their way over, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them next week, and for my dad to finally get to meet Layla, which will be really, really fun. It's also my mum's birthday next week, so that's kind of the main reason why they're coming at this time, is because of my mum's birthday. And then it'll be interesting to see how the flights go, because it'll be the first time we're flying with Layla next week. It's actually the first time I'm gonna have gone on a plane since we moved to New York, because we moved to New York when I was 28 weeks pregnant, after which I just didn't want to go anywhere else on a plane. That flight was like possibly the worst flight I've ever been on. There was nothing wrong with the flight, but I was just so uncomfortable being so heavily pregnant. And yeah, so this should be an interesting experience. And yeah. And then my cousin was over last week for the long weekend. She's actually my cousin's daughter, but she's the same age as my brother. So I kind of feel closer to her sometimes than I do to my actual cousin, because she's closer in age to me. So it was nice to have her over and hang out a little bit. I actually wasn't feeling very great that weekend. I wasn't ill or anything, I just wasn't feeling particularly great. So I felt a little bit bad about not going out as much with her as I could have, but the weather wasn't particularly great either, so it was sort of a double whammy there. But yeah, other than that, there's not really a whole lot to share today, to be honest, because it's not been an overly eventful week. I hope this isn't going to end up being a too long episode of the podcast, because like I said, I've got some vlog footage that I should have put in at the beginning, but I imagine it's going to be close to an hour and a half again, or over an hour anyway. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me this week. Like I said, I can't think of what else there is to say, but it will be mostly vlogs from now until probably towards the end of September. I think the last week of September will be when I next am able to do a sit-down episode, unless there's a day while my parents are here when they take Layla out for a couple of hours and I can record something then. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Right, so I'm not gonna stress too much about it. I'm just gonna try and have fun with my family, and I will try and upload stuff if and when I can. So yeah, Layla has half an hour of her nap left. Hopefully she will sleep for it and I can finish the rest of my lunch. All right, take care, have a good couple of weeks until I see you next, and I will see you soon. Take care, bye.